Hi, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. I'm so sorry I'm late.
Oh,
I'm
no.
here.
Thanks for willing to do this.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So, start from the beginning. Was your first any kind of professional paid job the playing Velma in Chicago on Broadway?
So that was actually my like high school musical, and they brought us to do the like National High School Musical Theater Awards. So we got to perform on Broadway. It wasn't paid, but it was a really cool experience. And yeah, I think that was the first time where I was kind of like, okay, this is like a viable option for me. Like this is something that I could do.
And was there ever any initial aspiration to live in New York or move to LA or
I initially started out in theater and sort of wanted to delve into film. So I've thought about moving to LA. Probably not anytime soon. I'm happy where I'm at, working in Texas with a lot of studios here. But it's not out of the question. It could be something I do in the future. I don't know. We'll see. I'm just kind of going with the flow right now.
so what was any kind of first dubbing experience you had then?
Well, today's actually the third anniversary of my first Funimation session, which is fun.
Okay.
And it was with Jade Saxton on a show called Endro, and I did like walla and bits, and it was super fun. My first like role, like named role with Funimation, was Maki in Fire Force, which was kind of wild. But yeah, 3 years ago today was my first Funimation session.
And I've kind of found that everybody has different answers as to how they took to anime dubbing. Was it difficult for you to get used to?
Not really, honestly. It's so similar to theater for me that really the only kind of thing to settle into was like getting used to matching the mouth flaps and getting the timing right. But it's just like a learned skill, and the more you do it, the easier it gets. So it was a pretty smooth transition for me, I think. And it's probably my favorite thing to do is anime voiceover.
I would guess too, maybe that you still have the most affinity with Maki as a character.
For sure. Yeah. I mean she was my first role, and she's such a good part too. Like she has so many different facets to her. She's not like one note. And she's always just so much fun to play.
Do you think that you personally relate to her the most out of who you played so far?
I would say so, yeah. I mean, she's probably the closest to me in age. She, has like strengths and insecurities like any normal person. And I think she's the most like me, just kind of in her like day to day normal personality.
I would think maybe around the same time as Fire Force, you got to be in Fruits Basket.
Yeah, I did. That was really cool. Remember going to the Scholastic Book Fair when I was like in elementary school and seeing the Fruits Basket manga there. So that was really cool to get to be part of like the new content that was coming out. I got to do like a TV reporter. I got to do like a grandma. I've gotten to do a few different extra voices for Fruits Basket, and it's been really, really cool.
Mhm. And were there any voice actors for like anime specifically that inspired you?
I grew up listening to J. Michael Tatum, Monica Rial, a lot of those voice actors that now I get to like do scenes with. I mean, Chris Sabat plays Maki's dad in Fire Force, which was so wild because, I think we all grew up hearing Chris Sabat all the time. But yeah, it's just really cool to get to like work with people that I, have been hearing for years before I even got into the industry. And now I like step into the booth and get to act in a scene with them. And it's like surreal.
Mhm. And one of my signature questions is asking, what do you think is the darkest emotional headspace you've had to go for voiceover so far?
It's a great question. Mushoku Tensei, I played like a young kid named Kurt who speaks in like a completely fictional like demon god language. But they like are kind of overconfident and they feel like they can totally like take these missions with these like demons, and then they get there and one of his friends is like killed in front of his eyes and he feels like it's his fault. And also it wasn't in English at all or like any real language, so it was like on top of the kind of emotional place I had to go, I had to also like fit that into like a fictional language and still have those fake words have the meaning that they would if they were in English. One of my most fun roles, definitely, just because it was so like challenging and fulfilling. But I would say that's probably the darkest I've gone so far, for sure.
And do you have a particular process for how you do boy voices?
I usually, I mean, it depends on the boy. Usually I'll go a little bit gruff, but sometimes if he's a little bit nerdy, I'll kind of make him like have a little bit of a stuffed up nose. It's mostly just like my regular voice, but just kind of it's slightly altered depending on what the character looks like.
Mhm. And I would think maybe like the most fun you've had so far was in the Island of Giant Insects.
Oh yeah, that was so fun. It was like kind of like ghost stories in the way we recorded it. Like it was just like we got to mess around, have fun. And I played like I would say probably the most like normal character in that whole show. So it was really fun getting to listen to what everyone else had already done and then like being in the scene with that and like having to not crack up and then just like wait before we could move on. Yeah, that project was so fun. Marissa, who directed that, was great to work with. And it was just like, I've never worked on anything like it. And I don't know if I'll get to work on anything like that anytime soon again. But it was like, it was so fun.
Mhm. Do you think you have a personal preference on doing comedy opposed to dramatic, or?
I think dramatic is my bread and butter. Started out in theater, and again, like I said earlier, I moved into film and I really wanted to be like film and TV actor. And so I kind of specialize in like those grounded, real emotional reads. But comedy is a little bit challenging to me, so I like it because I love challenging myself. I don't know. I probably am better at dramatic, but I probably enjoy comedy just as much.
Hmm. I know one of the other cases where it was a more like darker, serious role was a Mizuki in Wonder Egg.
It's true. Yeah, that was a nice little moment. Yeah, that was so much fun. It was just a little short little bit, but it's like so meaty and like emotional, and I love getting to go in and do that kind of thing. Yeah, that was a really great one too.
And then, of course, most recently being in Attack on Titan.
Yeah, so exciting. Just I've been watching that show since like 2014, and that was like one of my dreams to be in it, and to even get to be like part of it was so cool. And not only that, but in like such a pivotal episode where like they're going through the memories and we get some like reveals and all that. Yeah, that was like a dream come true. That was awesome.
Mhm. Do you have like a bucket list for franchises that you want to be part of?
I also grew up watching Bleach, and I know that's coming back pretty soon. So I'm, trying to manifest that. I would love to be in the Pokemon universe somehow. I don't really care how, but I want to be in it. I also love Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer is so great, and I think there are so many great characters that are so well written in that I would love to be in. Those are the main ones, I think. Yeah.
Another more technical question. What do you think is the case where you've had to alter your voice the most significantly so far?
Ooh, I would say that would probably be Yumemi in Hatena Illusion. She is like total opposite to me. She's like a tiny little blonde-haired girl. I don't play a lot of younger girls. I played a couple, but that was really new for me and really fun to get to play with that. Yeah, she's like way up here, and like it's just it was so cool because I never get to play like little girls. So yeah, definitely changed my voice the most for that one.
Is that more difficult to sustain?
Um, it was at first, but I kind of, practiced with like the placement of the voice and like got to a place where it was comfortable and easy. And I think I just hadn't done it enough. And then I finally was like, okay, yeah, I can do this. I know how to do this.
This would be another more like grounded role, Chinu in Remain.
Yeah, that one was so fun. Emily is so great to work with. That was her first project. And yeah, Chinu is a lot like me, but like less um I don't want to say happy, but she's more serious, you know. So that was a lot of fun to get to play, you know, someone who was super serious about her sport and what she did, and everyone on that show was great and super fun to play off of. And I was really glad to be able to be part of Emily's first directing project. She's a director who is super like gets what's going on in an actor's head because she's an actor herself and gives you like really great direction that is like fulfilling when you finish an episode with her.
How about with Belza and Dungeon of Black Company?
Yeah, that was really fun. I love doing like those sort of like regal, like evil, like just like crazy women. And she was like, I mean, there's a scene where she's like sitting on a chair that's just like made of people so she can like sit on them. And that's like the energy that I love to get to play. It's so stupid. It's so fun. And she was like a joy to get to do.
Mm-hmm. This was going back to with Maki. What do you think is the case where you had to get the most emotionally involved with her?
I would say probably in this most recent season, there's the episode, I think it's episode 19 in season 2, where she gets called back to the military, and she thinks, you know, Hinawa and Obi are going to support her and be like, no, we want you to stay here, but they tell her to go back, and she's like heartbroken because she doesn't really understand why they aren't supporting her, and she now kind of doesn't really understand where she belongs. And it was like a place I hadn't really gotten to go with her before. That was really great to get to explore. And also Chris Sabat was my dad, which was cool. Yeah. Episode 19, season 2 and episode 19, season 1 were both like Maki heavy episodes. So I think 19 is my lucky number now, but yeah, it was super cool to get to play a side of her that I hadn't gotten to before.
Mm-hmm. Do you find it easy to like tap in or like being able to cry and things like that for voiceover?
Oh, for sure. And especially with characters like Maki, where I like already kind of feel like a baseline connection to them in the first place because they feel so similar to me. I mean, I watch these episodes and I cry for the characters anyway. So it's like super easy to like put myself in that. But yeah, it's especially with Maki, it's really easy.
Mm-hmm. And then with another, I think it might be the only other case where you've done a boy was Shubi in Back Arrow.
Oh yeah, I got to play young Brandon McKinnis, which was awesome. Yeah, I love playing little boys. Just because it's like it's so different, and I just kind of get to play pretend. Trying to think if there's any other. I mostly have just done like bits for little boys. I think I had one in Case File. Lychee, I think was his name.
Oh.
He was like a little bit that like he was just this like cute little boy that was like so happy to be there. Yeah, Shubi. Anyway, off topic. Shubi was super fun and a little bit different than the boys I played before. He kind of had it more put together and wasn't super crazy, and was kind of the like, you know, leader of the two. That was really fun. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I know it's not a boy, but another like little character in One Piece, Wicca.
Yes, I loved playing Wicca. You know what? I lied before. Yumemi was not having to change my voice the most. Wicca was having to change my voice the most, because she's like a little like fairy creature. They even like pitched me up for that because I was like going as high as I could go, and they wanted her smaller. Yeah, Wicca was so fun, and again, I got to play off Chris Sabat. And she was like so different from anything I'd ever played. She's like hyperactive, super crazy. And it was in One Piece, which was wild. Yeah, she was so fun and like so different from anything I'd ever done. And One Piece is such a fun show to work on just because it's like so heightened and crazy and like everything is huge and it's just like so fun to play with.
Mhm. Well, outside of Maki, then who do you think that you can relate to the most?
That's a great question. I would say maybe Yumemi from Hatena because she just kind of wants to like play video games in her room and like not be bothered and like sleep until noon. And I vibe with that. Little bit introverted, kind of just wants to keep to herself, but also like cares about her friends and her family. Yeah, I would say Yumemi, I think.
What about with Kako?
Oh yeah, Kako Tengan. That was so fun. Yes, and she's really similar to Belza too, I think, in her like attitude, her demeanor. Yeah, she that was super fun to play with. That was like the first time I'd gotten to play that sort of like character archetype that I had been wanting to play for so long. And that show was just like crazy and fun.
And then with Nene Alkastone too.
Yes, I love that show. Nene's like super peppy, a little bit peppier than me, I would say, but super fun. I think there's like I think season 2 is coming soon, or they announced it at least, which I'm stoked about. But yeah, Nene's also really fun to play too. I'm really lucky that I get to play a lot of different characters and a lot of different types of characters, and that I have a lot of fun with all of those different types. So I'm looking forward to getting to do Nene again.
Mhm. And is there any kind of special story of how you got involved with My Hero Academia?
Well, I had been watching the show for, since before I was even a voice actor. And I happened to get an audition for Aerie. And I think after that, she brought me in to read for like just some little kids for like a 2 episode arc where it was like all the heroes go and like teach all these like kids. So I got to play a couple of kids in that, and then from there, Colleen brought me into audition for the most recent season, which I didn't book, but based off that audition, I booked the movie, which was really cool. So it's been kind of a little bit of a journey. But yeah, it was super awesome to get to work with Colleen. It was super awesome to be in the movie, to get to play another one of those kind of like bolder, deeper, kind of like badass women characters. That was another one of my goals. Was my goal series was My Hero Academia. So I was really lucky that I got to do that last year and have all the fun with all the movie stuff, because that was crazy.
And this is, I did want to bring up some of the short films that you've been part of. Do you have a favorite one that you've worked on?
I would say the most recent one I did was called So Be It. And it was, I had been doing film, and then I sort of ventured into voiceover, and that kind of became like pretty much the majority of what I did. So it was really nice to kind of get to go back and really like dig into like a film role. And yeah, it was just like pretty much the cast was just like me and one other person, and it was like a super intimate setting, like in a bathroom for the whole movie. And I don't know, it was really refreshing and fun, and really great to kind of dig into like a little more of a like uh subtle type of performance, as film tends to skew, rather than like crazy and huge, which anime tends to skew, which I also love, but it's nice to kind of change it up every once in a while.
Mhm. Do you think that you have a preference between the two, or do you still actively want to pursue both?
I definitely want to pursue both. But I do enjoy voiceover a lot. You're not constrained to any one, archetype. You can play literally anything. You also don't have to like worry about like if your eyebrow is twitching or like all the like minute movements and that sort of thing. You can just like look insane and do whatever you need to get that voice to be the way that it needs to be. And it's so fun to me to like be a little like goblin in a booth and not have to worry about like a camera right here in your face. I think it's just it's I get to use my creativity a little more because I can play anything from like a little boy to like a cat to like a crazy creature. It's a world of opportunity, I think, and that's what I enjoy the most.
Mm-hmm. And do you personally think that it's maybe more like vital for people who want to get into anime to have like theater experience?
I think it's necessarily vital, but I think it helps a lot. Just because, you're used to the process of like creating a character and having them express themselves in a way that comes across to the audience. And also just like having fun and playing around and being physical and all that sort of thing. It definitely helps. It's not vital, but it is super helpful, I think.
Mm-hmm. So is there any other series that you're a part of that you can safely talk about that are upcoming, or?
I can't mention any of them yet.
Okay.
I wish I could. Oh, Banished from the Heroes Party I did recently. I got to play a mom, which I don't get to do a lot. And that was super fun. It was like a fun little like fantasy kind of super fun. I've never gotten to, I don't really play moms a lot. So it was kind of fun to get that energy in there. That was really different for me. And I want to play more moms. Oh, I got to do some extra voices for Moriarty the Patriot, which was really fun because I love doing accent work.
Okay.
And it was all like British dialects. And so I got to do like a bunch of different things here and there. And it's you really hardly ever get to do accents in anime, I feel like. And so it was really, really fun to get to pull from my theater experience doing accents and bring that into anime.
Mm-hmm. What about with life lessons with Uramichi?
Oh, that was super fun. I did a little girl again, and I love the way that show's written. It's so funny, and it was the little kids are like crazy in that show, and so it was really fun to get to just mess around. And Chris is always great to work with, the director of that show. Yeah, that was a really fun one.
Or with how not to summon a demon lord.
Yeah, I got to do another kind of like sexy like demon lady, which was great. She had like I think her name was Crow, and she had like these like claws, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. It was it was really fun. And that's one of my favorite kind of archetypes to play is like those like regal, sexy, like badass, like demon ladies, which is such a specific archetype, but it's like my favorite, and there's a lot of them, surprisingly. But yeah, that was great.
Mm-hmm. Well, my final question is always asking, what do you want your legacy to be?
That's such a great question. I've never really articulated that. I would say I just want to be, my main goal is to like just bring characters to life in a way that is fun and entertaining to watch, or maybe in a way that connects with someone who is going through something, or even just connects with anyone at all. I just want my work to connect people, I think, in whatever capacity that may be. And maybe somebody feels seen that didn't before. I think I want to connect people with my work. I think that's what I want my legacy to be.
Mm-hmm. Oh, is there something that you want people to take away from your performances so far? If
people enjoyed it, then that's all I can really ask for. I try to connect with all of my characters in a way that makes them believable while also still being like fun or energetic or, whatever they are. So yeah, I think if people are entertained even in a small way, then I'm happy.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you. I'm glad that we got to do this.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. It was great getting to talk to you, and you had some really great questions,
Oh,
some
thank
that I'd never thought about before.
you.
Yeah, this was awesome.
I'll be sure to send it to you once I have it up as well.
For sure. Yes, please do, and I'll share it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It was so great to meet you.
Yeah, you as well. Bye.
Have a good one.